Okay.
All right, let me do something real quick. Oh, by the way, I need to turn on sharing. All right. And I think what I want to do is do a little bit of introduction stuff real quick, just to get that out of the way. And let me start by sharing my screen. And we'll do it like this. So, good evening and welcome to the Memphis Astrophotography Group. We are affiliated with the Memphis Astronomical Society, and you can find information about us if you're looking for us on the Memphis Astronomical Society website. Um, we post our Zoom meetings, which we're having once a month right now, typically on the Saturday nearest the full moon. And we are trying to build a community of like minded folks relative to taking pictures of the night sky and using hardware and software tools to maximize that experience and to share our experience with newcomers and experienced folk alike. So, welcome to our little group. If you would like to become a member of the Memphis Astrophotography Slack uh, channel, which is a instant messaging discussion group kind of thing. You'll send me your email address and an email to rick at memphisastro.org. And I spell my name just RIC. It's short for Eric, like somebody needed to make Eric shorter than it already was. So um, Rick at memphisastro.org, and I'll add you to our Slack discussion group where you can come and ask questions, and somebody will give you an answer. Uh, now, I am supposing that I'm sharing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I didn't have my little monitor up to double check that. Then go back to this. We have a calendar on the Memphis Astronomical Society webpage. You can get to our calendar, which will have our Memphis Astronomical Society events and meetings, plus our astrophotography group uh, meetings listed there as well. Typically, you'll find a link to this meeting on our front page of our website. So that's typically up under the up next uh, deal. So what we try to do here is keep the next upcoming event at the top of the list, and that was tonight. And this will be our next um, event for the Memphis Astronomical Society, where we'll be observing next week uh, out on the lawn of what was formerly known as the Pink Palace. It's now something else. MOSH. What does that stand for, Jeremy?
That is the Museum of Science and Industry, otherwise known as the Memphis Mosh Pit.
Sorry, don't get me
I
started.
did not know that. All right.
It's a little bit like there was an artist in the mid 80s called Prince, and then he renamed himself to the artist formerly known as Prince. And
Yeah.
now is MOSH, the location formerly known as the Pink Palace.
Yeah.
Quite an analogy.
So we'll be out there next. What is that? That Friday night or Saturday night? That'll be Friday night. So if you want to come out and take a look through a telescope, if you from the city, which is I think we'll have a part of a moon to look at. That'll be about it. Anyway, we'll be out there entertaining the public a little bit. So that's about us and the Memphis Astrophotography Group. Is there anything I'm missing, Jeremy?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you. And with that, I think I will open the floor for questions before we get started with our program this evening, which is to dive a little deeper into the world of image processing with PixInsight. So is anyone, I'm not recognizing anybody as being particularly new, so but if you've got a general question or something you want to bring to the group at any time, feel free to do so. And otherwise, I will turn it over to Merrell, and we'll go ahead and get started with some PixInsight work.
First, got to ask Scott, what kind of wine are you drinking?
Say again?
I said, what kind of wine are you drinking? Looks like you had a glass of
Oh,
red.
it's we had pizza tonight, so it's Zinfandel.
Oh, cool. Sounds good. Maybe I had
You should be commenting on my lovely image behind me that I took last night in our full moon light polluted skies.
Oh, wow.
great. Good job. I see the pelican.
And you took that. Excellent.
That came out of the Space Cat last night after with 200 shots at 60 seconds each on a full moon night.
Isn't that something? That's just amazing.
I'm blown away, and I don't know how to process yet. So I'm sure you guys can do a better job with my raw data.
That's what's so cool is that you can get fabulous results without knowing what you're doing. At least that's what I
Thank
stumbled
you.
across.
So it's a Sagacio Zinfandel is the answer to your question.
Oh, that sounds good. Wait, you look like you're relaxed. Well, I thought we'd just start kind of where we left off and then go through the finishing of the M100 data. And I get some of my disclaimers, if you will. It's way short of what data would be a normal set for me. I mean, it's only a few hours worth of data. But we'll make do with it, and we'll see what we can accomplish as is. I also say people look for the recipe or the one way of processing it, and there isn't one. There's general flows. In fact, I was watching a video of Adam Block, and he said recipes and defaults are a myth because the data determines what you do. And it's easy. You said you can get a result. You said how good is good though. So I mean, if I were a tenth away along that Adam Block is, I'd be real happy because he can look at stuff that just know what to do. So I thought we'd start off by, and I wish Ann were here because I'd like to want to review just some of the things we talked about last time. So let's what we left off on the I think we finished on the luminance. We had stretched it right there. Oh, I don't have this. Let me share the screen. Okay. Can you see my screen with the M100 on?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Some of the things we talked about. This is how we finished it basically. We've got it stretched, and we still got processing to do on it, and then we're going to combine it with the RGB. But Alan, how do I make a preview? Remember?
See, there's a little block at the top of the screen. That's a preview. Yes.
Okay, cool. Like that. It's good to know what the tools are. All right.
Yes.
And then I'd ask. I wish Ann were here too. I mean, or anybody can step in. That one of the things we talked about, masks. You remember how to make a lightness mask?
Okay. I think I'm going to. All right. Let's see. Range selection, I believe,
That's one way of doing it.
is, and then I know you can do the star mask.
Well, that star mask is different than the lightness mask.
Okay.
So here's the range selection is one way of doing it. And the other way is just to create, how do I create a clone? Let me ask that. Remember how to create a clone?
All right. Say that one more time.
you know, remember how to create a clone? I'm not trying to pick on you, Alan, but you're,
Let's see, you grab the right, or excuse me, the left-hand side and pull it over. Yeah.
okay. And so what you do is you can stretch it like crazy. Here's histogram, and the checkbox here says that's the one I'm looking at, the current one. And you can just do a preview, and then you just stretch it like crazy, like that, and then bring it in. I can do this, and then execute, and then you have a mask. One of the things that you kind of want to maybe smooth some of the images or some of the edges. Have you used convolution before? Convolution shrinks it, if you will, tightens it up. The convolution is just the reverse of it. So it's good. So it kind of blurs it a little bit. So it has a kind of a gradient for the mask. That makes sense?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I did on this. I went ahead and created a mask before we. This is the lightness mask that I created, so we can use it. And then you talked about star mask. I've got a star mask, and you use the star mask function here. And the reason why you do that, you always, I mean, you want to alternately protect the signal or protect the background, depending what your tool is, what you're doing. So what
does the convolution do again? It makes the star bigger. Is that what it's?
Yeah, it blurs it. I mean, it
blurs it. Okay.
I'm sure I say that. But yeah, it blurs it. I mean, I just exercise it on this one, but see how it's blurry. You can't. And sometimes you want the masks not to have their hard edges. And I didn't do it on the one I stretched quite a bit, but it's always helpful to just kind of have the smoother edges. So if you look at the image, I don't know how well you can see. Can you see the noise in the background?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we want to get rid of that noise. And a different tool that we used last time. Have you tried the TGV denoise?
Let's see. I have to find which ones I used, but that one is the one I used. Let's see. Or no, let's see. Hang on. I don't believe I did use that one.
Well, it again, depending on the image, this is kind of more universal in my mind anyway, on a stretched image versus a linear image. So what you do, you create a preview, and you can see the noise in the background. The main lever on this one is edge protection. And so you adjust this. My experience, I learned, remember Harry's Astro Shed, the English guy that got very early on and PixInsight. I'm sure you've probably seen some of his videos. But he had this down to like, this is it. 1.2 is about the right answer. So I'm just going to drag it over here and see what it does for it. And you see it got a lot smoother, but you also see the stars got blurrier. Which is that what we want to do? Probably not. So this is where you use your mask. Drag it over to the side, and what the red is, that's the protection. And the clear, if you will, is what it gets it operated on. Well, we don't want it operated on the signal. We want it to operate on the noise. So that up here in the the top of the screen, you see the black, the box with a little black circle.
Right.
inverts the mask. And then this hides the mask. So we'll do that again now. I'll just do the whole thing. And the image is much smoother, and the signal didn't get changed. I want to look at something on the histogram of this unit. I mean, this right here. This is before. If you look at a histogram like that, if it doesn't have on the left-hand side, doesn't have a real sharp knee, the lower left, that's noise. So when you see a histogram like that, it's got lots of noise you want to get rid of. So we did it. So I'll just reinitialize. See how sharp it became? We got rid of a ton of noise by that process. Make sense? So you
Okay.
Was there a question? Sorry.
No, there isn't. Oh, okay. I'm just listening, trying to.
Well, before we combine the Lume with the RGB, I want to have the Luminance almost be as good as it can get before it's ready to go. So I'm going to bring the black point up. In this, see this, the 21 here? Now, what mouse is? That's the number of pixels I actually cut off. A lot of people will go into cutting too far, and the number keeps getting bigger. You're throwing away data. So what you want to do is just have some amount of moving the black point out without truncating some data. So we'll have the Luminance look pretty good right there. Okay, so the use of a new tool, we'll use it both for monochrome, and we'll use it for color when we get to the color image. So this in my mind is ready to be blended with the RGB. So well, I went back and actually took, I think we combined the RGB last time, but I went back a couple steps, and if you remember, we had to dynamic crop them because they had the edge on a couple of the blue and green. We had to cut them out. So made them all the same. And you can refer to the, I guess, last month's video to how to do that. But it's the dynamic crop that I can't do that. If I get my mouse working, it's not going to let me do that. So without an image open. Okay. Anyway, nonetheless, we want to do a channel combination because we're going to combine the R and the G and the B, and I want to show you the use of new function on the photometric. So remember how we ended up with the green screen after you combine them? That's
Right.
just colors all out of balance, and what normal processes do background neutralization, then you do the color, photometric color.
That's because you have twice as many green pixels.
Well, I think it has to do with light pollution. I guess. I mean, it's just not balanced. That's why you do the color calibration. Now, Alan, you're going to say, well, hey, you're a step ahead. You're getting out of order. Well, I learned that, see this back down here at the very bottom says background neutralization. That's been an ad. And so what you do, you take a preview, and you go down here and you check region of interest from preview, select your preview, and then you want to get remember the FITS header has all the your right ascension and declination, so it's going to acquire from the image. So it knows where to look for the galaxies and the stars and everything, because what it's looking for is compare the white point in your image to the standard white point and adjust your image to match. So it's a constant calibration.
Okay.
So what we have here is a green image that's not been calibrated, but we're getting ready to do it. So it saves us a step, is my point. That I learned this between last month. I think that bottom section is a recent modification that they did. PixInsight is constantly getting up. So you buy it once, but all these people all over the world are making, modifications, and they're making them available to you for free or no additional cost. And what the way I understand this is the model, and checking points against the model. As long as it's close fit to the lines, the white balance is going to be where it needs to be. And so when we just go to the full scale, we now have, you can start to see color here in the image. I'll get rid of the preview here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and now we do have a gradient, which we need to get rid of. And the tool for that is what?
Okay. Say that again.
The tool for getting rid of gradients is dynamic.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so,
What was the cause of the gradient?
well, it's either, it's how it absorbs the light across the chip. And it's just, I have Boreal 4 skies, so it's not like I have city lights around. It's just the way the combination of all these slides, all these images put together, it has a gradient. And so, but that's what the dynamic background extraction does. Now, the way this setting is, this is from the light, what's the guy, light vortex guy with Sean something. Sean,
Visible dark.
Visible dark. Yeah, thank you. He had found this works, and I found it works 99.9% of the time. You take big 150 pixel samples, and so we're going to go ahead and just execute it, and then we'll take a look at it and see it's got a flat background now. It's gotten rid of the extra, or the unevenness, if you will. So we're going to close this guy down. Get that out of the way. I'm going to label this RGB. So now what we need to do is to, it's still linear. We need to, I would give it some more color saturation just to bring some more color out. And what this does, it's the whole spectrum here in color. You can up or down, you can add or subtract, saturate or desaturate. So I'm going to give a little saturation here across the spectrum. And I can already see that might have been a mistake. Let me go back. Again, I know what kind of resolution you get on your screen because of Zoom, but what it did starts amplifying the background noise, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to go back here, add the mask. And so I only want it to act on the signal, the things I want color. The background should be basically black or nearly black. So we'll do this, do a couple iterations of that, and you start to see the color come out here in the center. Oh, one thing I did, go ahead.
That's what I didn't realize at first, is you could keep doing that as many times as you want.
Oh yeah. No. One thing I did mention last time was that I always look for a model, and I had a hard time finding it until I ran across a site that has all the messier images. So this has multiple workspaces. If you look at the very bottom here, you got the primary one, number 1, 2, 3. So that's what I think that's our target. Now we don't have nearly the data to do that, but this is from the Mount Lemmon, Arizona. This is where Adam Block works out of.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a nice blue galaxy. and it's kind of cool. So that's in my mind what we're shooting for now. I've not been able to get there because I just don't have the data. When it's mine, I was a 14-inch scope, and theirs is a 24, and they probably have a lot better skies than I do. So what we have is we got a color image that's linear. We now need to take it to the nonlinear stage, and we're going to do what next?
All right, so hold on. Go ahead and say it.
Actually, I would have normally done just a histogram stretch, but again, Ada Block says, no, I always do the MAS stretch. And so I said, okay, we'll do that. And so histogram we'll come back to later. The MAS stretch is here. And you basically just take the default settings and you put it here and execute it. A lot of math going on here.
And I guess when you decide to use that, did you do it both ways and then see which one looked the best?
Yeah, you're going to come to the conclusion MAS is better because it treats the stars better, makes them smaller, keeps them smaller. Okay, so this is linear. I mean, non-linear. I'm sorry. It looks exactly the same. Basically, it has some smaller stars, but we'll look at the histogram now. Okay, remember earlier where you got all this not a real sharp knee here at the low end. What's that mean?
You have less
when
noise.
you don't have enough. I have a lot of noise actually.
Or have it.
I can see the noise.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is to go to these. GV denoise, and in this case, it's no longer a monochrome. It goes to you work in the LAB space, if you will. Same setting for the lightness, and with the chrominance, you do have a setting for. And it depends where your noise is at. So we're just going to execute it. And I should have put the mask on. We'll just see what it does to the. It's not quite as critical on your color because the sharpness of the data is the luminance. So
Merrell, hold on before you go. So maybe I'm missing something. Masked stretch. How's that different from normal stretching?
Apparently what it does as it goes, there's 100 iterations. Let me see if I can, number 100. Each time it stretches, it does incremental, and then it's in the algorithm of this, it apparently puts a mask over the signal. So it basically does some amount of minimizing the overstretching is what the best I can describe it.
So you don't need to put your own mask on it. It's essentially automating some of that for you, and it's stretching what it thinks it needs to and leaving unstretched what it doesn't, right?
Well, it's all going to get stretched. It depends how much. Because you're going from the linear stage to the nonlinear stage.
Okay. All right. I think I get it.
Okay, so we now have an image that we've got, see, we did the noise reduction. See how sharp
Wow.
it's gotten rid of a lot of noise. So we'll do some, I click the preview. So we're going to stretch it a little bit further. And because we're getting ready to combine it with the,
Yeah, I didn't realize that that's what that was doing too.
okay. So I'm going to say that's close to where we want to be, I think. Okay, so we now have an RGB and we have our luminance, and we need to combine them. So we're going to, there's an LRGB combine, and not exactly sure why they put the R, G, and B in there, but even PixInsight, the original tutorials would say, uncheck those, choose your luminance, and then just drag it over to it. And so it does the mathematical combination. And that looks ugly. Let's just see what. Okay, I've done something wrong.
Oh, is it stretching it twice with the?
No, it's right, stretch it twice, but this is, let me think here.
Or the screen transfer function, maybe.
No, I shouldn't. No, it's just. You were right. Thank you. I had it on. Thank you. Okay, now we start having an image. See that what this thing, for those who are not as adept as Alan, it does an auto stretch, and you can do the auto stretch plus the own stretching we just did, and it's obviously not right. Well, now we're starting to see an image that is starting to get some definition of something we might want, because it's starting to show color and good background. So let's try some curves. And what on the curves tool, you can do each individual RGB. You can do the combination. You can even go to the LAB color space. You can change the hue if you really wanted to, and you can saturate. So we're going to saturate just a little bit. And you get this is a preview screen again. We're going to saturate. You can start to see the color coming out in the galaxy. Yeah, I can. And again, I don't know what zoom does to it.
It's not bad. You can tell it's starting to show color. Yeah, it's
okay. So one thing that, think back to our model that I showed you here. It's got a lot of blue in it. I'm gonna see if I can get some blue in it. Over bluing it. And I also want to go back to add masking. I don't want to add blue in the background. And the way I can tell the mask is in place, see it's turned brown here.
oh, okay.
And up here, where this is the switch that turns it on and off. You can have your mask on all the time, but you can active and not active. Okay, so then I want to make sure I'm protecting the background. Okay, so the red's protecting, the clear is what's going to be operating.
Right.
Okay. So let's go back to the preview again, and let's see if I can change the blue and without. Oh, you see it's starting. You see the blue change?
Yeah.
A little more purple.
Yeah, well, we just mess around. One of the things early on I said you've got to be able to experiment. So that looks a little more bluish. And so much of this is your own personal taste. So I've added some blue there. Another way of doing it is to pick your color saturation. I'm sorry, is it already open? Yes, already open. And then, Rick, you played around with this, I think a couple times ago.
Right, right.
What you do, I only wanted to saturate the blue, so I put an anchor different places on either side of the blue. See the scale at the bottom of the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So all I do is just move this up. So I'm saturating the blue, and I'm keeping the rest of it constant. So we'll execute it. So I can see the blue change in the galaxy. See it's changing.
Yes.
And you can click the light blue circle and it would be I think that's the real time. Yeah.
So that might be a
I
little
guess.
much. I'll take one of those off. Okay.
The bright
So-
stars in the limb.
The other thing we want to do is to give the arms more definition, I think. So there's a tool called the local histogram. Have you tried that, Alan?
Let's see. Yeah, that is one I have not tried.
Well, on most of these tools, I find it best to, rather than giving 100% amount, if you really want more than half, do it twice. But it just seems to be more effective without getting out of control. And watch the galaxy when it changes. See how
Oh,
much,
wow.
a lot more definition, because it finds the contrast and enhances the contrast.
Did you change any of the default values in that before you did that?
Other than the amount, see the amount.
Okay. I think I was looking back and I did use it. I wasn't sure it was default, so I didn't quite know what it did. Yeah.
Well, what it does, it gives definition at the local level, if you will, the galaxies. I mean, I always think it gets depth to it. And you can see the before and after. There's the after, here's before. See how just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Take
Quite the difference.
quite a difference. So again, I'm still trying to get to here, but I'm not sure we're going to make that. So the interesting, I mean, we can try to add some more blue, but I don't know it's necessary. If I were doing this, I'd be taking this, changing it to a TIFF, moving it to Photoshop to put my star spikes on, and maybe some small adjustments in Photoshop, and call this as good as we're going to get with the limited data we have. So, do you see anything that you want to change, Alan, or anybody say what would be different? The noise in the background is not terribly bad. The histogram, see, the histogram is about where it should be. There's still a knee here. You're not clipping off anything, and that's about the darkness of the sky that you'd want to do. So I would say this would go to press with again the limited data that we had. Let me take this off here. We'll just call it M100. The one thing something that we don't have to deal with here, but I played around with. You've experienced Starnette, Alan. You used to Starnette.
Right.
If you had a background that was real noisy that you just couldn't get rid of the noise. I was messing around with this the other day. In Starnette, you set it up with PixInsight gives you the tools, and you just operate Starnette on it. And what it does, it's a cool feature that separates the main object, the galaxy, from everything else. So it's going through the process. It's again very math intensive.
Is it going from star maps that exist?
Well, I don't, no, it's just taking your image and separating the stars in the background out of the galaxy.
If it's taking star maps that exist, then it sounds like it's cheating.
No, because the times I've used it, it's left behind little blurs in some
Alright.
areas.
So it's using your data, so it's not cheating.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's using my, but Alan, you're right, it does use blurs. I'll show you how I was playing around with it to compensate, and maybe the whole idea of what I'm doing is cheating, but the objective is to get to the endpoint that you set out. So it's at 78%, 79% right now, and so we're almost finished here. So we use some tools that we haven't used before, so I thought it'd be worth trying. Okay, so we now have the stars separated from the galaxy. Okay, so okay, well let's assume that in this galaxy here we had noise in the background, which we do have some. So how do I want to smooth that out, you think? We talked about it earlier tonight.
So is that I was going to say multi-scale linear transform again, but it's the convolution.
So see, even with just the default settings, and wait, I did one thing wrong. Let me get my mask back on it again, because I don't want to fuzz up the signal, but fuzzing up the background, smoothing out the background would be what I'd want to do. And I got to turn it on. Bear with me here. Switch it on. Now let's try it again. Okay, well, I'm assuming it's going to, the preview is not what actually is happening. But you see, the subtle differences, if I really want to smooth it out, I can do so. And what you do, then you execute, smooths out the background, and it didn't protect.
Okay.
No, here's what the problem is. I got to go back. I should have inverted the banks. You see how I was.
Yeah.
Okay, so an easy way to go back, and there's the use of another tool, is you right click, view the history explorer, and what I did. This is all the steps we did on that image. So I did Starnette. I want to go back to my Starnette image, and so that and then do the inversion, and then we do the real time. See, the galaxy now has not been affected.
Okay.
So we can change the background here and execute. It smoothed out the background. Okay, now I'll get rid of the mask. So how do I get them back together? It's not
The pixel.
doing that.
As I say, one of those pixel math equations that. No, yes, right. Yes.
Next math. Okay, so but it's very easy, because what you have, you look at the expression editor, and you want M100, which we just did, plus, get to the plus, and what we created, I think, was star mask. That was a result of the Starnette process. You have your formula here, and there's a million different formulas. This is probably the most universally good tool that you can do things with, but you parse it, it didn't show any errors, so you're good to move on to the next step. And then the destination, you want to create a new one or replace the target. I just want to replace the target. So we're replacing the target. All right. So where we were at we were in the process of doing the pixel math.
Right.
I think so.
So yeah, you made the two images, or you put the two images in pixel math.
Okay.
And then I think you said replace target image.
Yes.
And,
Let's just simulate, because I don't want to do it over again. But
Yeah.
So you take the two images, expressions that you wanted, add them together because they were split apart, and you had the choice. You had the choice of replacing the target or even creating a new one. I'll just go ahead and create a new one, and that doesn't look as good as the original one. So either I did something wrong here. Start.
and it may be the same thing with the
I don't think so.
histogram transfer.
Anyway, this is by replacing the target. It joined the two. Actually, I think what happened
No,
is
do you have to put 0.5 and 0.5?
no. They're directly added. So but the one I got here is the creation of the two. So that's adding together. So we now have the final product of that's the M100 without the stars. I added it to the Star MAS 1.
Got it.
We'll just change the label here. I'm gonna call it final, but I still, what I started doing, actually, I had done some before I realized we didn't have a connection, is that I was going to reduce the star size just a little bit with morphological transformation. Or did I do that already? Let me see.
Or not what we saw.
Okay, so what I want to do is just reduce the star size just a little bit, just so the galaxy is a little bit more prominent. And we could mess around with the blue some more if we wanted to try to get more blue out. I'm going to change the geometry of the image and compare that, make a clone of it. Do this guy.
Oh, no, that was a cute trick.
So
You have to see that again. Yeah.
they have a lot more blue data than I do. So it's always good to say, okay, how do we come out with with the endpoint in mind? And obviously this 24-inch scopes with Bortle 1 skies and lots of exposure better. But we did okay here.
Yeah.
The other things that are some cool tools that let me expand this a little bit. Alan or Ann, Ann's on. You ever tried the game?
Did
I
you
have
say
not.
GAIN, GAIN?
Game, GAME.
GAME.
Oh, GAME game. No.
Well, I just learned about this like yesterday, that you can create, if you wanted to stretch your galaxy without overstretching the core, which is always a problem. You use games. Somebody wrote a script here, and you just make the size of whatever you want to down here to cover the galaxy. I mean the core. And what you're going to do is make a star mask for it, or a gradient mask, whichever. It's doing its thing. Yeah, right. And so you now have a mask that you can do the stretching of your bigger image.
And not oversaturate the core.
Right, because you can just put this. Let me do it. And so you'll find times where No way. So you got your mask. You invert it. So you're now covering just the core. Stretch all you want, and the core doesn't get blown out. That to me was a tool that I literally just learned about. The photometric color with the built-in background neutralization is new. The other thing I mentioned earlier, let me get rid of the mask, was the Adam Block talked about the image integration. And once you get your images stacked in star line, typically what I've always been trained to do is the pixel rejection. Most often is this Winsorized sigma clipping. His rule of thumb would be, if you have lots of data, you can use the Winsorized sigma clipping. If you have a little bit of data, or less data, that's right, which I probably should have done, is sigma clipping. But he also said this one here, this brand new one, he called it, it's generalized extreme studentized deviance. So anyway, what it does, the best I can determine, it actually has whatever it figures out the median is, or the target brightness of every pixel, and then you can choose how many of those you want to reject.
You had what looked like an explanation window pop up there. How did you do that? Oh, just held. Okay.
Almost all of these tools have
Yeah.
everywhere you do it. Some of them even have documentation.
Right.
Like clicking here. So those are some new tools that I'm going to have to try to understand.
So let me, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, and maybe you've got a work stream going here, but something I missed and want to see again, because I just missed it, is how you created a star mask.
Okay. Actually, I want Ann or Ellen to tell me how to do it.
Hang on. I'm gonna cut on my light.
You tell me and I'll do it. Well, let's go to the Luminance here. That we'll operate on that one. You want to operate on a good image. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. All right, so you create the clone. Let's see.
And you don't need to.
Oh, wait.
He said, but the difference between lightness mask and star mask.
Okay, wait a minute. What was the question again?
How did you create a star mask?
And the difference between the two, the lightness mask has all the lightness you want to, if you want to protect it. A star mask does not have the galaxy.
Right.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the Starnette, the one we just did.
No. Well, okay. There's a tool called Star Mask.
Ah.
Pretty straightforward. And what this does, there's the defaults generally fairly good. The scale, the higher the scale is, and it'll tell you. See, increase the scale for larger structures. Some of you want the bigger stars, or once you find them, then it says how much you want to grow them a bit. I find the one that's really kind of effective is the noise threshold, because as you lower that, you get many more of the smaller stars.
Yeah.
If you move it out, you don't get them. So I'm gonna just try this and just execute it and see what we get. And the star mask is used technically. See, I got it too low. You see, start to see the galaxy.
Yeah, right.
I need to raise the threshold a little bit. Try that. But when you do the deconvolution, you want to use that as what they call local support. It makes a difference on how it gets deconvolved. Okay, so what you have now is a star mask. It's got everything but the galaxy.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, okay.
Kind of a neat tool. Technically, you can, when you do the morphological transformation, if you do it too many times, you'll start seeing branches go from star to star if you don't have a star mask. So
Okay. Now, do you deconvolve the star mask or leave it like this?
you can do that. I think the way it is right now, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I like it. I
So
like the sharpness of it.
and so you just drag it over there, and is it on? No, you need to switch it on with the
I
green,
see.
plus brown. You can see what it's covering. Now, what it's doing, what's it doing to the background, Rick?
Now it's protecting the background.
Right. The red protects.
It protects. So what you do, the black here inverts it. So now,
Yeah. Now you will
if you wanted to
protect
do
the
some
stars. Right.
stars, you're not protecting the galaxy. So it's got to be something you want to operate on just the stars.
In your final image, you seem to have lost a lot of your stars. And that's one of the reasons I was asking.
Yeah, that's because I was messing around with that Starnette. So that I should go back in time if I can find the image that I had. And not that one. That's actually Starnette. Where did I do it? I should be able to go back here and go back in History Explorer and see it. Okay, here's where, let's see the stars came back.
Yeah, that looks good. Right.
So, it was I was just playing is what I was doing. But so the thing I want to take away with, there is no definite path in the experiment. Learn and experiment, because you can't hurt it. You might crash a Zoom meeting, but you can't hurt it.
I think that's the first trick I need to focus on learning a little better is backing up.
Right.
There are times that I will spend a couple 3 hours on an image, and I get all the way done, and then I said, no, not right. So I'll come back 2 days later and start all over again.
Yeah. I guess there's all the different ways to create the masks, because the first one we did today was with creating the clone and then doing the.
Well, that was with the
Right.
light. That was the lightness mask. And then, but what we did last time was the range selection.
Yeah.
That you create.
Yeah.
That would I would use that for a lightness mask. And in this case, so we have the lightness mask. I would convolve that one just to make it a little bit smoother. You can make it, you can worry. It depends what kind of transition it's. I know I have the eye for it. Certainly Adam has the eye for it. So what's the right amount of softness you need to have on the edges? So we'll use that as the star mask. I mean, the lightness mask. And then we'll put that guy over here. It created a clone is what it did. Now we have a lightness mask. And we'll reverse it. So it's just going to operate on the clear.
Mhm.
So that one gets everything that's bright, where the star mask just gets stars, or you can
Yes.
change it more, or you can get fainter and fainter things.
But I find the mask, you got to think through what are you trying to accomplish. You got to look at the image if I'm trying to get rid of noise, I'm trying to increase the color, reduce the size, whatever, increase the contrast. You got to know what you're looking for, and then decide how do I want to protect the things I don't want to touch, and master how you do it. So,
Cool.
well, I think that what we might want to try next. I mean, I'm almost exhausted here. Next time is just take one of Martin Pugh's data. Maybe your favorite, Rick, that the Omega Centauri. And
I
that's
wouldn't mind going back
Okay.
through that again. Your
Okay.
results, I mean, I liked my initial pass at it, but I liked yours better.
Tell you what, we'll let you do it, and then we'll just coach you along the way.
All right. All right.
Or we can take one of the other ones. I found the NGC 253 really tough to get the fine detail out, and I'm going to have to go back and mess with that one again.
As I say, that one would probably be more in line with watching these two videos that we just made of these two meetings to
Sure.
run through that one.
If you ever really want to get, if you have extra $180, Adam Block's video or his tutorials are beyond anything I can do. But he's been doing it his whole life, and he's just absolutely brilliant at it. And so,
And I still have,
Warren Keller's, yeah, he's pretty good. He's a lot more, lack of better words, rudimentary on the process than Adam. Adam's got the eye that knows what to do, and he really understands the details of each and every setting, which to me is just, I don't have the memory for that.
I'm going to grab the screen from you just a minute, Merrell, if that's all right. All right, so what's up on the screen is essentially our shared drive that if you want to have a directory here, you can. You send me an email and I'll get you set up. Everybody should have access to this directory, which is the image data that we bought to play with. This is the Omega Centauri files that I've played with. This is Tarantula Nebula. We've got almost 100 image files there. NGC 253. We've got RGB and luminance files here, and again for 6726, and almost 100 files there, it looks like. So, and I forget how many hours, but most of these are in the 20, 30 hour accumulation ranges. We have them there stored as zips as well. So if you want to download the whole package and begin playing with it, feel free to do so. This is Merrell's process of the Omega Centauri data set.
Mine did not come out like that, Merrell.
Yeah, let me see if I can grab mine real quick.
I can't get the background to be so dark.
Well, so what do you do?
I'm not sure.
so
Try Star Mask or something?
I just haven't had that much time to play around with it, but I
That-
went through everything we did last week, and the background is just still very light, and it just doesn't look very good. But
Yeah.
I'm sad I missed the first 30 minutes today because I think that would have helped me. But I'll watch the video.
We just kind of reviewed what we did.
This is mine, and I'm with Ann. I just don't have the contrast that Merrell was able to pull out of it.
Is it doing the histogram transformation a little bit?
Well, that's what I could go back into and play with some. It's been weeks since I did that. I haven't had any time, but this just blew me away when I saw it. It's like,
Well, but I think what we did in the last two sessions, you should be able to get to this point with this one. I mean, there's nothing magical about this particular one. The tarantula was hard.
yeah,
That should just be a curve where you're putting the black level down to as close to 0 until you get to the spot where you're starting to spike up.
Well, yeah, I'd have to see the history. I mean, it's been weeks since I've done it, but there's a point where you just keep clipping until you don't. I mean, moving it to the left until you start clipping. But your black point will obviously. But Rick, you had brown in there too, which is at least in my eye, you have some color. You see, I see brown in the background.
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, it depends on how I look at my screen. I see brown or I see black.
So, I mean, I just gotta stay out with it and try a path, and if it doesn't go where you want to, then back off. You just get your right. If you right click, well, okay, well, that's what you just did. But you can right click on the screen too, which is really kind of easier. See, it says Load History Explorer. There you go. It's just easier than to me going down the corner.
Right.
But right.
As I say, I guess it won't load the process if you've done it a couple of weeks ago. Don't you have to save it? So
You have to save the project.
Yeah, and I didn't run this as a project. I just was playing around, so I don't have the actual. But like I said, it was my first pass at it, and I think I want. See, I've even got this artifact along the bottom. I didn't trim the edges after I stacked it. I need to. I need to go back through the process and play with it one more time. Start from scratch this time.
Neat thing, the data's all there, and you start right all over.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
So, what do we want to do next time? Do we want to take one of these guys?
Well, that's so. Has anyone got a preference?
I wouldn't mind seeing the image processing of Omega Centauri.
yeah,
Well, we can go back through that.
Yeah, that would be a good one, but it has no luminance. So maybe I've been working on the NGC 253. And I just got all the images ready to combine this afternoon. But so that has LRGB and H alpha, and I don't know how to combine all those channels.
That's a better choice, actually, 253.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Okay.
There is a tool they use to add the hydrogen alpha. That's somebody
Oh, okay.
script.
in HRGB.
Yeah, narrowband. Yeah, go to scripts. I mean, it's not all processes. Script, utilities. Yeah, okay. And then NB RGB combination. And that way you get your RGB source, add your narrowband depending which filter you have. It says you can do it in the linear stage mode. I have not had any good luck in it. You got to do it after it's already been stretched.
Gotcha.
So, but anyway, we can go through that one. That's going to be obviously more complex, and which is good. We should be starting to move on to the more complex.
All right.
Like, Ken, a question on this, on the Omega Centauri here, like the file image here. can you still go back and do a dynamic background extraction or something to make it, to get rid of the brown, if that's what you're seeing in the image?
Okay, what
Was it-
what do you think? Just experiment.
Okay.
Can you do, Rick, did you save those? Yeah, you didn't. Oh, there you go. Try it. Just execute it. See what happens. Okay.
You did get something.
Well, yeah, you need to, yep, there you go. Yep. Next one, no, next one over to the left. That's too bad. You overexposed it. Next one. Nope.
There's a keyboard shortcut for that. It's just Control A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I use the one Rick did, but you see it did get rid of a lot of the brown, and then
Okay.
close it. Try your histogram now. You need to. You want to close it. Yeah.
I just wanted to get them side by side so I could.
Okay. And then go to your histogram. Under processes. Well, yeah, you've got it there on the side. Check on the bottom. Check.
Oh, you have to pick which one you want to do it to also. Make sure you do.
Lower right hand corner, there's a check mark. That picks it. Okay. There's your histogram of that. So you're already, you can't clip a whole lot more. But you know, go hit your preview. Go to preview, the circle, and then you can just play with it and see what it does to it. You know, Scott said just bring up, you know, that brightens it. The other one, you're dimming the whole image too.
I know, but it's interesting.
Just play with it.
It's interesting that all the blue seems to go away and that you're just left with the gold and brown stars.
All right.
Another way to try it is curves. Do a small S curve with the curves tool. Okay. Well, you got to choose which one you're going to do. The check mark, remember? Rick, the check mark at the bottom. There you go. That tells it that it's the active image.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Do you have to close the histogram transformation one for that one to work?
Hate it, one or two. But you can't see how do you wait. I'm not sure. Is your real-time preview active for this one?
No, the real-time previews for the histogram transform. So you might want to close that. Oh, maybe now it's for the curves.
Yeah.
Now you can mess with it. Just what I would do is put an anchor point at the very middle of the screen of your tool.
Do what?
Put an anchor point right at the middle. There you go. And then just bring the lower one down just a little bit. So you're starting to darken.
Oh, yeah.
Just see, and then just playing with that, get you darker background. There's something in the process to get to that point you've done differently. That's why it's worth starting all over, I think.
Yeah. This is still making a huge difference. The center's still a little oversaturated, but the rest of it is starting to pop.
And it may have been saturated from a previous step as well.
Yeah, right.
And then you can't do much about it.
That's why you need to start back over.
Yep. Excellent.
Right.
All right. Well, very good. Anything else? I'm gonna have to go offline and play with this for a while. And like I said, I'll be ready to run this one over from the beginning next time if we want to, and we can do that and or go ahead and start on 263 if you have a preference or something. You know, feel free to throw it in the Slack channel chat, and we'll talk about it over the course of the next month and get ready to talk about it during the meeting. Also, by the way, the Memphis Astronomical Society, one of the benefits of membership, and I'm not telling any of you that you need to join the Memphis Astronomical Society, feel free to do so if you like. But one of the benefits of membership is we have a newsletter that we send out every month to the members only. And we try to feature some astrophotography in that newsletter. And we're really wanting to focus on providing our own images rather than stuff we pick off the internet or whatever. So if you have an image you wouldn't mind us putting in our newsletter, let me know. We wouldn't do it without your permission. And but like I said, it just goes to our membership, and you would of course get credit. Proper credits would be attached. So always looking for new images. Merrell's got quite a catalog we steal from.
A random question. I realize PixInsight seems to be the gold standard. Is anybody else using Affinity Photo? I guess that's me, right?
Never heard of it.
It's a competitor to Photoshop that existed on, I knew of it from the Apple platform. I think it's actually PC and Apple, but it exists as a competitor to Photoshop without the monthly subscriptions. And is, at least in the Apple community, considered quite good. And they added an astrophotography functionality on it that helps with the stacking. And I'm finding it reasonably easy, but I don't know enough yet of what it doesn't do compared to what PixInsight can do. It's got all the standard curves and background removals and histogram stuff, but the PixInsight seems to have a whole bunch of very specific to astrophotography neat tools that I probably are not going to all exist.
Is it expensive?
Affinity Photo, yeah.
How much is it? Do you know?
Oh boy, I'm thinking like just $29 or $50. I've had it for 5 years, so it's one of these ones that I bought it. It's now on my system. It's on everything I have without paying any money. So it's Affinity Photo. See what the buy now is. Yeah, $49. Okay.
$50.
That's a lot cheaper than Photoshop.
Oh yeah.
And it basically is a Photoshop. I don't want to say we're a clone, but it's someone trying to compete with Photoshop. It's been around for a long time, won a lot of Apple awards, but apparently it's not just it is not just for the Apple. There is one person on YouTube that has been showing us 3 videos on processing things with Affinity Photo, which I found useful. And again, I don't think it has anywhere near the amount of astrophotography specifics that PixInsight has.
But it would be good for like non-astrophotography, just like a regular.
It's very good for someone who wants to go through the whole workflow of like a Photoshop with all the different layers and the adding
Okay,
stuff.
that's good to know. I might
And
check
then
that out.
It has at the beginning of it, you can start a new project as an astrophotography project, at which point you add in your lights, your darks, your flats, your biases, and set a few parameters if you want. And then it creates the stacked image for you and then ships that into the normal Affinity Photo for the final processing. And that's how I got the image that's behind me.
I think this looks familiar. So I'm thinking that several of the MAS members, I think Freddie Diaz is one that uses this a lot. I think it's Deep Sky Stacker.
Oh yeah, that's really popular and it's free.
Yeah.
But I think, isn't that the one that's only Apple, sorry, only a PC only?
That's probably the case. Yep.
I think this is what Brent uses too.
I think that's right. Brent uses this too.
I thought that was actually a big problem, and but the reality is you can just, once you stack it, you could then take the stacked image and move it to a Mac related one. So I'm having to do very little on a PC if I have to.
Well, and this is available in Romanian
And Russian.
and Russian.
You know, I think that's what Brent did. He stacked it in this Deep Sky Stacker, and then
And then it goes to
everything else
Photoshop.
in
Right.
other-
PixInsight seems to still be the thing that is the gold standard because it's got so many specific good things. So if you're going to learn it just for astrophotography, it seems to be the thing to learn. All of these things are not easy to learn.
This is what I've tried to, and I had Photoshop for a long time until it just got astronomically expensive. And I quit buying the updates and upgrades and everything else. And I started trying to use GIMP, which works a lot like Photoshop, but in some of the plugin modules that work with Photoshop will work in GIMP. But this is freeware as well, and it works very much like Photoshop. But it's just as complicated to figure out as Photoshop.
I think there's another one called Raw Therapy.
Called what?
Raw Therapy. I never did use it. I downloaded it, and I said, "Oh, that's a processing program," but I didn't ever.
That's what I need. Software that's called therapy. I spend too much time developing this stuff to try to get any therapy out of it. All right. Well, has anybody else got anything? And how's the telescope at Rhodes? Your focuser squared away?
Our focuser's fine. Right now, I just let Merrell know my frustrations yesterday. We're trying to change out our filters, and I can't figure out how much of the optical train I need to remove in order to get to the filter wheel. And, you know, the thing is huge and it weighs a ton. I'm going to need a football player if I have to take off everything on the back of the scope. So I'm waiting to hear back from PlaneWave to see if there's a place where they would suggest breaking the train to get that.
Gotcha.
And during the day, it's about 120 degrees up in our observatory. It's awful.
Yeah, God. But no, so is there not, so it's a filter wheel, right?
Yes.
And is there not a position in the filter wheel where individual filters can be swapped out without removing?
No, for this one, you have to take the entire filter wheel out, which is probably about a 12-inch diameter thing.
Right.
And you have to take the cover off, take
Yeah.
the wheel out, and then replace each filter.
Yeah.
But the way it's put together is, you know, even the tiniest Allen wrench can't get in there to get the screws because there's not enough space. So you have to take off more components.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pretty mechanically inclined in that arena.
Well, I did find I can buy some really narrow Allen wrenches that have a really short stub on them. So I might be able to get in there. I just have to try and measure it somehow, see which size I need. But I'll wait and hear I'll wait to see what I hear from Planewave. They may have a suggestion.
Right.
Either way, I'm going to need a strong athlete to help me get that stuff down.
Jeremy would be glad to come by anytime.
Won't pass my prime, unfortunately, but I would be happy to do what I could.
Well,
Hey, Bob, I'm gonna join Scott. I'm gonna get some Zinfandel.
yeah. My next adventure in astrophotography, I've got my deep sky public presentation, live photo setup working pretty good, and I'm adding planetary capability to that. And what I'm going to do is use a smaller CCD with smaller pixels and a much longer focal length optical tube. So I've got a 5-inch Maksutov that's got a 1900 millimeter focal length and a 1-inch square chip with 2.5 micron pixels. So hope I can. And of course, the trick is with the planets is exposure. Trying to get the right exposure so that you got planetary detail without overexposing. That's always been a trick in planets. So, and in a pseudo live situation or even video mode, planets are bright enough you can operate fast frame rates and still have a decent image. So, hoping to be able to get that set up for when we do public sessions. I'll have right now I'm thinking a 32-inch monitor sitting on the tailgate of my truck, and people gathered around to look at that while the telescope's doing its thing. So
Cool.
It beats long lines at eyepieces. All right.
I do have one question though. I'm sorry, I just thought of this.
Yeah.
So I was up in our observatory and I noticed that some of the screws are rusting. And does anyone have a suggestion other than replacing them all with stainless?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Put them with oil, but you probably don't want to do that.
No, I wouldn't want to do that.
And you can't paint them, but are they Allen heads? Are they black Allens?
Some are Allen heads. It's various. There's so many different connections on there.
The permanent solution is replacing them with stainless or brass.
All right, I may talk to Planewave and have them do that because it's their telescope. They should have thought of that.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised. Actually, yeah. All right.
I'm leaving my mount outside just because it's so much easier just to get it aligned in there. And it's holding up very well with the exception of the little screw to hold in the weights. And those are showing signs of rusting.
Are those the counterweights on the
yeah, it's a Skywatcher EQ6R Pro, and it's just the 5 kilogram weights have a little screw on them. It's a plastic holder on the end, but the actual shaft, you can start seeing that's beginning to oxidize somewhat.
Yeah, for those, I think I just coat those with a little bit of grease.
Yeah.
So, because they're mostly enclosed anyway. Cool. That reminds me, that's one of the things I got to build is a counterweight caddy because I'm staying portable. So, and carrying those counterweights around and dropping them is not good for the counterweight or my toe. All right. Anything else?
If you're not on our email list and you're watching this video retroactively, you can go to joinmas.com and of course visit our website, memphisastro.org. You can also check us out on Facebook, groups/Memphis Astro. And we've got the previous 2 meetings recorded on this channel as well. We'll put cards to them in the links to this video. So if you missed the May and June meetings, we'll have those up as well. So, and our next meeting is August the 6th. That will be virtual. And this is forward looking, but September is it September or October, Rick? Help me out. We're going to be at Shelby Farms, and 2 hours prior to that, we will have kind of a hands-on telescope session. So if you're in Memphis and you either just bought a telescope or need some help with your telescope, I believe that is going to be September the 10th at Shelby Farms. We will send a notice out regarding that as well. Is that the right date, Rick?
Well, that was the one we were talking about, but we also said we were going to start doing that for all of our Shelby Farms events. So
It's actually September 11th is a
September 11th.
Saturday. Yeah.
That's right.
and the next Shelby Farms event is actually
August
August
14th.
the 14th. So that's an opportunity. So there's a calendar on well, no, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. So
We'll put that on our website though.
yeah. And the next you know what? The next astronomy group meeting is not shown on our website. So I think we perhaps want to establish what that should be right now. And I'm thinking, looks like August the 21st is the Saturday nearest the full moon. Does anyone have any issues with August 21st?
Good.
That's what we will write down for our next meeting. I'll try to get these on the calendar extended through the end of the calendar year at least. After that, it would be September 18th. And then what's after that?
October 23rd.
23rd, probably. Yep. Because the full moon's on a Wednesday that month. Then November 20th and December 18th. So we'll get those on the calendar. All right. Well, thank y'all very much. I hope you're still getting something out of this. And if you think that you want something out of it you're not getting, please let us know. We'll work toward trying to get to that. Like I say, the primary objective here is to share the hobby and put the learners with the teachers. So, and vice versa. So thank you very much for attending this evening, and look for the video on our YouTube channel in the not too distant future. Thank you, Jeremy, for all the work you do in editing these and getting them posted for us. And that's all I got. If that's it, we'll bid y'all all a good evening. Cheers
Great
now.
weekend, everybody. Thanks again.
Thanks, Merrill.